Walter Miller, 68 years old, retired engineer. Heart pounding for something that couldn't possibly be there. He didn't say much, just placed it on the table between them. The sunwheel jiggled, once, twice, a greeting from another time. And Walter just stared, his eyes telling a story that would take 12 minutes to explain. Some efforts go unrecorded by history. They never make the headlines or find their way into the family story. Instead, they get trapped, pressed like fragile flowers between the pages of forgotten cookbooks, those spiral-bound testaments to a moment's ambition. They linger in the silent, aching space at the dinner table after the last plate is cleared, but before anyone gets up. They flicker, ghost-like, in a refrigerator's dark corner, illuminated only for a second by that cold, institutional light. These efforts are the archaeology of our private hearts. A careful arrangement on a plate. A recipe followed with desperate hope. A flavor engineered to say what words could not. They become messages drafted with great care, addressed to no one and everyone, sealed with a hope for understanding, and then never sent. The medium itself, a wobbly tower of gelatin, a pie crust with imperfect edges, can obscure the meaning. And so, these silent dispatches in the private language of food often end up filed away. Not in an archive, but in memory's deep freezer, waiting for a day when someone might finally decipher the code and understand that the offering was never just about the meal. It was a hand reaching out, dressed in the only uniform it had, a simple, hopeful, perfectly imperfect dish.
Walter? Sweetheart, try this. I worked on it all morning.
It's good, Mom.
Eleanor, this is so clever.
There was a time when food didn't just feed you, it performed. In the 60s, they trapped vegetables in crystal, a promise you could see through. Order suspended in light. Then the 70s arrived. Warmer, stranger, tuna in gelatin, mayonnaise made permanent. A dinner that dared you to call it progress. People laugh at it now. We call it weird. But it wasn't made to be funny. It was made to be certain, to hold its shape, to prove the hands that made it were in control. And every decade had its own version of the same prayer. Please don't let this fall apart. Please don't let me fall apart. The 80s polished it. The 90s filmed it, shaky, unplanned, real. The 2000s lit it like television. Bright, clean, confident. And then we arrived here, where food became purity. Minimal, photogenic. Toast that looks like a lifestyle. But the impulse never changed. We still arrange. We still curate. We still beg a moment to stay. Because some meals are not about hunger. They're about being seen. Jell-O was never just dessert. It was an attempt to make the temporary permanent, to turn effort into evidence. And when it trembles on the plate, that tiny nervous shake, it's not just gelatin. So David decided to do the impossible. Rebuild a memory. He followed the silent instructions of a woman he barely remembered, bought the same Jell-O, same SpaghettiOs, same olives. Not to eat it, but to witness it.
Set perfectly. Joel. Thank God.
It's a memory, asking if it's allowed to exist again. It happens in a million kitchens across a million years. Not a grand story, but a quiet ritual. The measuring out of care. The following of instructions that promise more than just a result, they promise a reaction. This labor exists in a liminal space, between the hope of "I made this for you" and the fear of "you won't like it." The hands that do the work are often invisible. The attention is paid to the creation, not the creator. It is an act of profound translation. Taking the amorphous feeling inside love, apology, loneliness, pride, and forcing it through the sieve of a recipe. Trying to give it form, color, and sweetness. Trying to make the intangible edible. And when it trembles on the plate, that tiny nervous shake, it's not just gelatin. The kitchen becomes a studio, the plate a canvas, and the offering is sent out into the world, naked in its vulnerability. A wobble is a stutter. A collapsed soufflé is a sentence left unfinished. A flavor too sweet is a plea that's too loud. And then we wait for the review that is a smile, or the silence that is a critique. We file the memory of that effort not under success or failure, but under feeling. It becomes part of the private archive, the museum of attempts. A fossil record not of bones, but of heartbeats disguised as dinner. This is the archaeology we all practice. Digging through our own pasts, not for treasure, but for the fingerprints left on ordinary things. Taking the amorphous feeling inside love, apology, loneliness, pride, and forcing it through the sieve of a recipe. Trying to give it form, color, and sweetness. Trying to make the intangible edible. Searching for the meaning in the meal, the message in the mix. Understanding, finally, that sometimes the most important ingredient listed is the one never written down. The hope of being seen fully through the simple, sacred act of being fed.
I made it. I don't know if it's good. That was never the point. She just wanted someone to see the effort, to see her. I see her now. What was she like? She was always tired, but she made things beautiful anyway. Yeah, she did. Thank you for seeing her.
Some memories are too heavy for photographs, so we put them in Jell-O. Food remembers what history forgets. And sometimes, the most ridiculous things we make are the most honest parts of us.